President Trump is going to declare a national housing emergency. And while politicians are scrambling around trying to figure out what to do next, I found 5 absolutely crazy but real solutions that can fix the problem faster than anything out there right now. Hey guys, I'm Evan Holiday, and I've developed over 2,300 units of affordable and mixed income housing. And today we're diving into 5 solutions that sound insane, but could actually fix America's housing crisis. And trust me, you're going to want to stick around for number 5. Really quick, will you take a quick second and hit the like and subscribe button? I know it sounds like everyone on YouTube says this, but it really genuinely helps the video find the right people who can be part of solving the housing crisis. Zillow says we're 4.7 million housing units short in America. That shortage of housing units costs the US economy over $2 trillion annually, and that comes by reducing wages, productivity, and economic mobility. With Trump considering declaring a housing emergency, we need ideas that can think at that level and that scale. And these aren't your typical policy proposals. These are actually moonshot solutions. I mean, the US is planning on building a nuclear power plant on the moon. I'm sure we can figure out how to solve the housing crisis right here in the US. Number 1, let's start with something simple, a national land bank. The federal government buys up abandoned malls or shopping centers and then sells them or leases them to developers who promise to build affordable or mixed income housing. We have about 1,150 malls left as of 2024, and that's down from 25,000 malls in 1986. And projections say only 150 may survive until 2032. That's over 1,000 malls just right there that could become housing communities instead of wasted potential. These places already have parking lots, they have utilities, they have highway access, they likely have good visibility or right near services. So you can have massive parking lots that can become green areas surrounded by housing. And your old anchor stores can become community centers. And those old department stores, that could be hundreds or even thousands of new housing units. They could also look at underutilized federally owned land or sites in both urban and suburban locations. I'm thinking like the US Postal Service, how they could consolidate locations and use less locations and sell the land for more housing. Or another creative idea could be redevelop US Postal Service locations with that on the first floor and then 200 units of housing above. Number 2, and here's a wild one. Let's make every working American a landlord through their retirement account. The idea being either 5% of your Social Security or 5% of your 401k will be set aside automatically to invest in housing. Suddenly, every worker becomes a part owner of rental housing across the United States. Social Security contributions were $1.2 trillion in 2023. Just 5% of that would be $60 billion a year flowing to affordable housing. But here's the genius part. It flips the incentives. Right now, homeowners will fight density because they think it hurts their property values. Side note, these are also called NIMBYs, or not in my backyard. But if everyone owns a piece of the affordable housing through their retirement account, then by fighting new development, that could actually be costing them money. This means your retirement account can grow while also helping the housing crisis. Number 3, a Universal Housing Dividend. Just like Alaska's oil checks that they send to residents, but for housing. Alaska gives their residents every year a check from the money they make from oil. In 2023, that check was $1,300. What if we did the same thing for housing? Here's how. When the government builds a new subway station, a new park, a new school, all of the properties around that, inevitably the values will go up. The government could then take a small portion of the taxes that they receive from the higher property values and then put that aside in a fund. We could also add a luxury tax when anybody sells a mansion over $5 million. And finally, we could charge a vacancy tax for any investors or foreign speculators that are keeping units empty. This would turn unused housing into funding for affordable housing and creating more housing units by incentivizing people to either rent out or sell their units. We then take all that money and send it back to regular working families to help pay for their rents or their mortgages. Think COVID stimulus check, but specifically for rents and mortgages. Harvard shows that 21.6 million households are housing cost burdened, meaning they spend over 30% of their monthly income on housing costs. Housing checks could bring that number way down. Number 4, the Federal Density Bonus Act. This would be a simple rule where any city that has bus lines, mass transit, or subways would be required to allow tall apartment buildings within walking distance of those stations. And cities that refuse, they will lose the federal funding that goes into building their city's infrastructure. In 2019, 75% of land in major cities only allowed single-family zoning. That means even if you wanted to do like a duplex or a small 4-unit building, it would be be illegal. We're basically forcing people to spread out and create urban sprawl instead of allowing people to live closer to where they work or transit. Meanwhile, urban sprawl costs the US economy over $1 trillion annually. And this is by driving up infrastructure and transportation costs, lengthening the commutes that reduce productivity, and fueling environmental and health damages. Want the federal money? Then let people live near the transit that's being helped pay for by the federal government. Number 5, the Federal Housing Innovation and Factory Act. That's a bit of a tongue twister. This mega proposal would be like creating housing factories, just like Tesla gigafactories. We could give major tax breaks to companies that build factories that would build housing all across America. These factories would just pump out home parts that could then be assembled on site in weeks instead of months or years. And we've actually done this before, but guess what? We did it for computer chips. The CHIPS Act of 2022 put $52 billion into building massive chip factories here in the US and triggered over $200 billion of private investment. Imagine that level of funding going into housing factories to help people. Construction costs are up over 40% since 2020. That means a house that cost $300,000 to build before now costs $420,000. Factory-built housing that uses assembly lines just like car manufacturing can build housing cheaper and faster. This mass production of housing through the factories could lead to much lower rents and home costs. We could also create a government research incentive, kind of like we did with ARPA and creating the internet, but specifically honed in on housing. Think about 3D printing, AI, robots, all focused in on how can we make housing cheaper and faster to build. And all the breakthroughs that are created through this will be shared with everybody for free. Think about like GPS on your phone. That was created by the military and then is now shared by everybody. This would be like the space program, but for solving housing. Look, these ideas sound crazy, but we need crazy solutions to solve this housing crisis. We can't keep doing the same thing and expecting different results. We've done big things before as a country. We built an entire interstate highway system. We developed the internet. We literally went to the moon, and now we're building a nuclear plant there. We can solve housing if we think big. What other crazy housing solutions do you think we should try? Drop your comments below. I'd love to hear your idea on what we should do. And who knows, maybe President Trump will watch our video and pick one of our ideas. If you want more videos on bold housing solutions like these, make sure to subscribe. I'll keep breaking down how we can fix America's housing shortage. And with that, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.